Welcome to Between Data and Risk podcast. Today we decided to discuss agile methodologies and ask ourselves if they are universally applicable and what are the limitations, if any. To do this, we'll be going through the Agile Manifesto and questioning whether the principles are adaptable to business processes outside the domain of software development. Stay tuned. If you're a business owner or senior manager, you probably had more than enough about all the wonderful opportunities awaiting you in the era of digitalization.
Whether it is big data, cloud, data science, or whatever buzzword is currently trendy.
If you would like to hear someone dissecting these claims and showing you what it actually takes to improve business processes, you're in the right place.
This is Between Data and Risk, where we discuss real-life examples of what works and what doesn't in the world of business operations. Hello, I'm Artur Cognition Shared Solutions Chief Risk and Strategy Officer, and with me is my co-host, your friendly neighborhood data guy, Dr. Marian.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the 12th episode of Between Data and Risk. Today, we want to talk about the universality and limitations of agile methodologies, agile mindset, and all the kind of everything that's been attached to it over the years. There's been plenty written and more than enough said about it, but I think it would be worth just putting a lens on it of business operations and how it can be used, because it started in software development. I know that you've used this before, Marian, so why don't you kind of give us a whistle-stop tour of what Agile actually is?
Well, I can only say how I understand Agile. I don't have any formal education. Our listeners' audience may not know, Artur is a certified Scrum Master. Scrum is one of the castes or cults of Agile. I liked the mindset.
It's a formal methodology implementing implementing the agile kind of framework in a specific way. I'm not going to kind of defend it much, but just to be,
precise,
constructive.
Yes, thank you. Yes. The agile is an idea which focuses on 12 principles, and I based my approach to implementing agile for analytics in back when I was working in Sony Mobile, and we've been searching for a good way to increase the efficiency of data science and strategic analytics that we were performing. And there are elements which I really, really liked, and these principles, which I believe were universal enough to be applied in different than software development environments. And let's maybe walk through some of them, and I will try to say how I translated them. Maybe it will be of use. The first principle, and I really like it, and we had a discussion about this topic not long ago, is our highest priority is to satisfy the customer. Then there is through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. If you replace software with analytics, with actually any business function,
anything you need to deliver,
it still stands. It's a basic of design thinking, which again, as an idea, I really like. Even if we disagreed on some verbiage used around. So it's a good thing to think about the customer and his satisfaction. To me, it really matters when I do something that our clients, customers have their needs understood and met. Again, there is probably a completely different episode that we could spend discussing how to differentiate between what customer needs and what customer thinks that he needs. But that's separate topic. The other principle is welcome changing requirements, even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. It's in analytics, it's spot on. Like you are running analytics on, I don't know, sales prediction or whatever, like demand prediction, and the situation changes. I don't know, there is some turbulence on the market. The paradigm shifted. And you cannot say, no, sorry, this is analytics that we planned over the last 3 years. I'm using the data, historical data, and I will deliver you my results because, that's what we planned and that's what I'm actually delivering now. No, the business has a need of the rapid analysis, change of the environment changed, and the analytics must follow. So this is spot on. We are living.
This reminds me of the phrase that we discussed a couple episodes ago. Doesn't matter whether you're wrong or right, as long as you're consistent. Obviously, I'm I'm parodying it. I love this phrase because it's so kind of so
devious.
Common. So yet it's clearly goes against any agile kind of mindset.
Absolutely,
you need to adapt. Okay, let's before we kind of go deep into trying to agree or disagree. Let's just go through all the principles.
Okay, so the third one is deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference to the shorter timescale, which again is pretty important and, in my mind, very much connected to the first principle. You want to deliver prototypes, POCs, something that works, can be used in the meantime. I read a fantastic book called Repeatability. One of the issues, which was like suggestions there, was like sell your byproducts. Don't focus only on it was for small businesses. Don't only focus on your end goal, because you may run out of time and money. Think of what byproducts you can also utilize for good of your customers. And to me, it's a very similar attitude. It's like
another kind of take on this principle could be the mindset that's making kind of its rounds around the business world. Fail fast and fail often. Don't kind of stick to a losing idea, but just let it fail, move on, explore the probability space.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what to do when you realize that your horse is dead, all right? It's like calling the committee to discuss the properties of the dead horse is maybe not the best idea, or trying to, use the stronger whip. So yeah, an idea of regular or short-term goals, which can help you collect feedback on whatever you're doing, is pretty important.
Encapsulated in the concept of MVP, minimum viable product, in kind of common practice of Agile.
Or I think we should talk, when we'll be talking about data mesh and productization of data products, but productization of any deliverables that you might have, it should be pretty useful. The one that I love, and again, you can replace the IT lingo with something else. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Business people and developers. So I would say, if you have a project which encompasses, data people, developers, coaches, HR, or whatever, if they have a common project, it's important that they communicate. It's not just dropping down requirements on a sheet of paper and then hoping the things will go smooth from there. The communication is the key, and I strongly believe that as much as I love to lock myself up with my computer and just stare on data for days, it's important to talk to people. And we discussed it numerous times. What does it really mean? What is it that you see? You do some work on a project, on some topic, and asking the people who are closer to the topic, like, what could that mean? What is the meaning of the data that I'm using? What is the meaning of what are the requirements of the software? Is it what we have sufficient, insufficient, couldn't be improved? It's a daily work.
So again, it kind of links to previous principles, because you cannot deliver often if you don't have that communication. And so it's almost kind of enforced by the mindset of delivering prototypes, delivering mock-ups, delivering minimum viable products, getting that feedback frequently, then exploring something else, and getting customer satisfaction through that frequent delivery and through that understanding. But it's not just a requirement. I think we should be clear on this. It's not just a requirement on the team that works on the execution of the idea. It's also a big requirement on the people who will be using it, or who are requesting it, ordering it, because they cannot expect to deliver a set of requirements, go away and expect the thing to happen, as you said. They have to be prepared to put in the time, the effort for the continuous communication, continuous improvement of the end result.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. It's a bilateral communication.
Yeah.
Let's get to another part. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. It links beautifully to our podcast on ego. Find some people who have this internal desire to accomplish things, and help them. Building teams around people who are, let's say, positioned highest in the company, and giving them all the power, even though they might be looking to increase their glory through political means. Sorry, that's a brutal reality. We can we can pretend it's not, but that's how many people operate. And even if they pretend to be really interested in the product, all they are interested in is advancing their career, as long as it's aligned with developing great products and they provide great quality. That's okay. They have their ego, they have their goals, everybody's advancing, but that's not always the case. So okay, even if they are motivated to advance their career, it's okay. But I think it's important that you realize what topic is really of interest to someone, and help him get it done. The art of motivation, I think that's again separate topic.
Okay, let's go to the next one. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to or within the development team is face-to-face conversation. I think this is very, very important, because it allows for that continuous communication to happen, and for almost instant feedback to be given and received. The number of times I've spoken to people and they said, "Okay, I'll think about it and reply to you in an email," is it gives psychological kind of safety to people, that they can think about it, that write it down. And then also in business environment, having something written is very important, because a verbal contract is not worth the paper it's written on. So it's unless you have something written, it's you can't show it to management, you can't show it to audit, you can't protect yourself in case something goes wrong. But okay, so let's talk about this, and then write down the conclusion, not have a discussion via email, right? I think that's the gist of it. Also, in today's reality,
I think the face to face, it is the most effective is face to face conversation. So it's more about efficiency of communication. If I will ask you to by email to explain something to me, you will understand it somehow, and one day you will answer me, and I will realize that's not exactly the answer to my question.
That's exactly what I said. It is the most effective.
The great thing is somebody says, "Okay, I will write you an email later."
No, it's
that's how I understood
completely misunderstood me. No, I said it's the number of times I heard it it's probably more than enough for a lifetime. But I do agree that this is a great idea, face-to-face communication.
And here we had an example. I misunderstood what you said, and you were able to correct me.
And we immediately corrected it.
And I stand
instead
corrected.
Of having an. But I just want to put a slightly modern spin on it. Face-to-face conversation, obviously, what we're having now, even though you're in Slovenia, I'm in UK, we are having a face-to-face conversation.
Yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely. It's not about that. It would be more efficient if I would get into the plane, fly there, and however, I've seen situations where people were called through half the globe to spend half an hour being berated, and then they had to fly back. I've seen this kind of, but it's I think it was more about
being
power
berated.
play.
That's not a conversation. That's a power play. That's a different thing. That connects to ego. Okay. The next principle is kind of very firmly embedded in software again. So you have to, I think, translate it. This is working software is the primary measure of progress. Here, I think we should
working
say
solutions, working deliverables.
Practical solution is the greatest measure of progress, right?
I think that the key word here is working. Like, if you deliver something which is working and people can use it, because practical. Okay, if practical means working, then I totally agree. But I think it's critical that if I will deliver you something which could be practical, but you can't use it yet, it's still not a great success.
No, I completely meant, practical in that situation, in that environment. So working as a synonym. Yes.
All right. Then absolutely. It's, you deliver immediate value to the client.
Yes.
Wow. We're so, aligned in our thinking about it. I'm scared. It will be really boring. Boring episode.
We have to find something we disagree about. I think it will come. I can see it on the horizon. Okay, Agile process promotes sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. That's a very, very vague one, right?
I feel it's very often misunderstood, and I believe we will have a discussion about this one just after we go through all the principles. I feel that this one is so often misunderstood.
Okay, so explain to me briefly how you understand it.
How I understand it.
Yes.
I understand it that there needs to be a progress, and you cannot stop, and you need to have a pace, so to speak. This constant pace in this is very risky verbiage again. What does it mean, constant pace? I think we should talk about and find an opportunity to talk about the breakthrough research, the things which are really, which require some free thinking and some experimentation and not repetitive. There, sometimes you need to wait, and sometimes you have, success after success. Data science is at times very similar to this. So my understanding is, okay, you need to deliver, you need to be prepared to deliver one thing after another. The word constant, I think, is very risky.
So it kind of, if you take this as a almost mathematical proposition, a limit to which you need to aspire, a kind of utopia, then having frequent deliveries, and again, translating with a mathematical mindset, translating frequent deliveries into constant deliveries, you deliver as
constant
frequently
pace. No, it's a constant pace. It doesn't mean as frequently as possible.
I'm referring to the previous principles where you deliver software or solution or whatever, you deliver it frequently, right? If you extend it to the mathematical limit of almost continuous delivery, and in software development you have the CI/CD principle, the continuous deployment, continuous integration. Then constant pace becomes this mathematical limit where
let's discuss it. It will be a longer discussion.
Okay.
So let's go through another couple. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. I love this one. It's doing even when you're prototyping, because I think it's a fail-safe. Because if people will focus, okay, we need to prototype and deliver this little pieces which are useful, it may lead to the loss of quality, because we need to deliver something working. So we maybe don't have to take care of the quality assurance so much. And I think this is a really good fail-safe. Like, if you can do it right, do it right. And this is a bit, in my mind, in a disagreement with this what you almost said. It's like as frequently as possible. Maybe it's not about getting as frequent as possible. It's let's get it as frequently as reasonable. Assuring
I
technical
mentioned as
excellence.
frequently as possible in kind of thinking about not in the sense that you should do it, but in the sense of the ideal, which there's kind of the saying that you cannot attain perfection, but while chasing perfection, you may actually catch excellence. And if you take this whole manifesto and the principles as a certain perfection, where you have constant pace and almost constant deliveries, then you shouldn't do shoddy job. But
because you will lose your quality and you won't be able to deliver at some point.
Yeah.
No. I agree with this point. All right, but we'll get to the constant pace. You wanted to quarrel. We will quarrel. Let's get through it. Let's not get back to it right now. But
and continuous attention. This particular point, I agree with wholeheartedly. It's
yes, me too.
It simply means it's a very nice and very kind of round way of saying just do things properly.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree with you wholeheartedly as well. It's like, do not forget to keep your quality, because couple steps ahead, when you will start tripping over all the obstacles and tripwires that you left behind. So yeah, wow.
Oh, the next one I need to be reminded of, and hand on heart, this is one I forget very frequently. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. I had this recently when talking to a client. I kind of love my imagination running wild, and client was giving me requirements, and I was immediately thinking, okay, yes, and while we do this, we can also do that, and we can do that. And I think my heart was in the right place, because I was thinking, oh, we can deliver what the client wants and so much more. But it's the client who actually told me, you know what, just calm down, deliver me exactly what I want and not a bit more, because then you'll be able to deliver it faster, better, and
don't overblow,
probably at a lower cost to myself, yourself, and everyone involved. And I loved it that the customer had this kind of mindset, because they didn't want to extract kind of maximum value. They wanted to they knew what they wanted, and they wanted me to keep on track. They wanted to keep themselves on track, maximize the amount of work not done. It's very good. I love it.
It allows you to actually keep up the pace, if not constant. if not constant pace, but a reasonable pace, and to keep up with quality, keep the quality levels. It is really important to focus on what matters. I think we could rephrase it to focus on what really matters. Do not try to overdo, because you may get stuck in details, in minuscule little improvements, which are not really even often increasing the satisfaction of the client. It might be,
you actually by trying to increase the customer satisfaction, you're actually decreasing it in a sense,
because you're so focused on your work. I think it's also interesting perspective. You shouldn't focus on your work. Like, the more work I do, I think it's a gigantic topic. We are working very often in environments which require working for the sake of working. The measure of your quality of your work is amount of time you spend working. And
the so-called presenteeism, right? It's as long as I'm at the desk 7 hours or 8 hours a day, I'm doing work. And
I was thinking about the Japanese company. So after 7 or 8 hours, if you would leave, you would be, probably fired within a week. I'm talking about the situation where it's, but it's not only time, but it's also like, okay, I remember there was a problem with the Linux core, which is like the very basis of the kernel. There are different operating systems, and Linux is one of them, and it has so-called kernels, like the very basic level of software. And they realize that they have some staggering amount of improvements which are submitted by users, because in Linux you can propose your improvements to the kernel. And it was a staggering amount of them, but it was like a jump, like a gigantic leap in number of improvements. But absolute majority of them were useless. It was like, oh, there is a typo in a comment here. Oh, this line is like, a bit too long. We could shorten it. They had like overflow of absolutely useless, not even improvements. Artur, you're much better in the lingo with me. How would you call it? Changes?
Yeah, I remember they had this change submissions, and it turned out that some company was rewarding their employees.
Yes, it was a China. It became popular in China to reward employees for amount of work that they did, but also on open source projects. And Chinese programmers were actually fighting for bonuses by providing work and proving that they did work by submitting the changes, not even improvements, but changes. So I think we should.
But that's kind of all about and we'll touch on this topic very often. The what you measure and how you actually measure performance. Was the fact that the thing you measure, the moment you
make it a target,
use it as a target, stop being a good metric. But yeah, I think if you look at our website, we've got quite a few articles on Kaizen and Lean and Six Sigma, which are all about removing waste. So this is I think a very, very well understood and a very common sense principle. So let's move the next one. Best architectures, and I love this one. Best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Oh my God, I could have a field day with this
one. I must say that this is the one which I don't know the universality of it. I a bit use self-organizations in the teams that I lead. I try to find people who like doing stuff, and I ask people to actually try to organize themselves a little. I don't like, but again, this is like with the design thinking. I think the problem here is the verbiage, not the spirit. Because you want people, like, if you need, I don't know, the floors cleaned and I don't know, the dusted, all right, and you have two people, one of them likes cleaning floors and the other one likes dusting dust. You can let them self-organize and make the stuff happens that both of them are happy. And I would rephrase it like, avoid micromanaging. Let people do what they like. But I also disagree with how to say definitiveness of this statement. There is work that nobody will want to do, and even if you will try, they will organize things, that some things will be left out. It must be someone in the end who just points the finger and says, guys, you forgot about this little one. And now I will tell you who will do it because you didn't take it on. So I think it's another point of discussion that we will have.
I think it could be a very long discussion. I'll tell you one thing. Yesterday, actually, I had almost 2-hour long conversation with my brother about self-organizing teams, and one conclusion that we came to is that there is an ideal which people aspire to. And I actually want to have one future episode. I want to prepare one future episode on the idea of teal organization. Have you ever heard of the concept of teal organizations? It's a concept which I think was developed in the 70s, and it's the kind of utopia of a self-organizing kind of collective.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to use organization twice. It's self-organizing collective, an organization where the employees organize the work and self-govern. And there is a whole theory, a body of knowledge around it. And there are some organizations which are deemed to be kind of close to it. Do you remember from your time in UK, you remember John Lewis?
Yes, I do.
The department store chain.
Yes.
That is considered to be an example of a teal organization. Teal actually refers to a color. I don't know why they colored this way, but there was a range of, I think it started with red, which was a total tyranny, and then it became kind of, there's yellow, green, blah, 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 and it became teal for some reason. Doesn't matter. But the whole concept is of self-organizing. And in John Lewis, all the employees, they are called partners. But it's not just a name. They actually participate in the organizing of the work, and also in the benefits. It's a whole thing. So there is something to be said about self-organization. But the kind of one conclusion that we came to is that self-organization has to be within set boundaries.
And I believe that
it's a boundary. It's a legal boundaries, regulatory, society.
We sometimes we touch upon this topic. I believe the federated organizational model is much better. I think we spoke about it. It's like there is a level of autonomy each unit should have in self-governance, and it can be applied on some level. While these boundaries need to be set up by someone with the strategic vision. But let's move to the last one, and we will get back to it. The
last one is fairly easy. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts behavior accordingly. I think it connects very nicely to frequent delivery, to the communication. It's called the retrospective in the kind of agile lingo. You just sit down or stand up, as agile people like to do. They like to have stand-up meetings because it focuses the mind on the
hurting
matter
legs,
at hand,
on the shoes that you have. It's so important stuff.
And just have a retrospective on what happened and how you can readjust and move on in a better way.
If I am being honest, I absolutely agree that you need to sit down sometimes and think, okay, what are we doing? Are we doing all right? What stops us? And it's really important. But I participated in some of these official retrospective meetings, and the developed methodologies like this sailing boat. It was like I got back to kindergarten. There was a little picture of the boat, and they told us to put memo cards with some facts. Okay, this is the anchor, it holds us down. This is the sail, it pushes us. This is our goal. This is the beach, the beautiful beach with the palm. This is the wind. What is our wind? I felt like a bloody kindergarten.
There is, some people like the visual metaphors, and one thing about you have to remember about Agile Manifesto, and we actually agreed before the episode that you're going to be the kind of defender. I'm going to be the kind of.
I am defender and promoter of the agile way of thinking. What you do and what we are discussing now is putting, and this is something that we will discuss, is putting agile into the structured methodologies, which turn it upside down, because you want to be agile, you want to be flexible, you want to be able to adjust quickly, and then your methods are making you, where I think the most unsuited for transfer elements is element of Scrum being sprints. Like you take completely structure.
I just knew that you were heading towards it.
I've been, but it's just one example. You take the whole mindset, which is supposed to give you flexibility, agility, ability to do the right thing on the right time, and you put it in these little boxes where we need to stand up and talk. We need to have this meeting every 2 weeks, not 3 weeks. And we have this sustainable pace, constant pace, but we will try to do it in sprints. We will try the marathon. We will try to make a sustainable marathons. We will try to sprint 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. It's unsustainable, and it's against the whole spirit of it. Let's take the agile methodology and make it so structured that people will suffocate. Brilliant. How about you make agile methodology of managing agile instead of something which is so stiff that it could serve as a cast.
We were supposed to be positive as constructive. I'm not going to defend Scrum.
I am positive and constructive. What I want to avoid is people who run a business, people who might be willing to take elements of agile and think of implementing in the different areas of business, and try to learn agile from Scrum masters and people who are considered gurus in the topic, but who promote something which is completely opposite, because they teach about the methodology of keeping up.
You know what's the only thing worse than a militant evangelist? It's a militant atheist. Let's get back to the, I know you don't like Scrum. I'm not going to defend Scrum because I even though I took the exam, I'm not going to defend it. I think it's impractical in reality.
I want our readers to focus on the spirit of Agile. Like when you asked me, we started, listeners, when you asked me in the beginning of the podcast, how I implemented it, I took the spirit of it. I took my team. I told them, okay, guys, we need to talk to our business people, but we shouldn't expect anymore, the structure approach, and that they will just drop us some requests and we will just blindly try to fulfill it. We need to understand what is it used for. We need to really adjust this work of ours to their needs. We need to provide, bits and pieces in the meantime, so we really deliver value, and they want to stay in touch with us, and they want to discuss with us, because I want every discussion with them to be beneficial for them, so they understand a bit more. But they also need to invest their time into explaining us this communication element. There is you mentioned psychological safety, and actually recently I've listened to podcasts about this. One was on Collaboration Superpowers blog, and the other one was Bridging Agile and Professional Coaching Worlds. It's psychological safety is a very important thing, and I think Agile is a good fit mindset to help people feel safe. They see the results often. It's not a black box. You drop something and you hope for the best, but what you will get will be useful. No, you have transparency. We are doing this. We are doing this. This is, your deliverable for now. Are you seeing the potential or the benefit? Let us, improve it. How are you? How is your environment? Is everything still as we discussed it, 2 months ago, or do you want some changes? It's about safety, about the communication. It's about being able to adapt. And this is why I am so vocative about my dislike of structured approaches and the painting of the boat with the anchor and sails at the same time sorry, I'm a sailor. So I realized that having an anchor down and sails up is not the best way of sailing. I did it. I forgot to pull the anchor once. It doesn't work.
You're stuck on the on this kind of methodology, and one thing that I think we should keep very clear for our listeners: the agile mindset, the agile values are one thing. There's a whole host of methodologies around it that's been built that try to implement it, but it's kind of trying to realize an ideal, and different methodologies are for different people. They may not work for others. So I think one constructive solution.
I agree.
One constructive kind of point from here is if someone comes to you with, we want to do agile, or we're doing agile, and you see them doing something that may not actually work in your organization, don't dismiss agile because someone is drawing a boat and you don't like this kind of visual method. There are plenty of other methods to implement this mindset.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. I just want to support what
yeah,
Artur
you
says.
were just doing it for the last 5 minutes. I was looking on the clock, and I was still unsure where you were going.
No, I was going, but the agile as a mindset is excellent, and there are plethora. I love Kanban, in example, which I'm not saying it will work for everyone, but it works for most of the applications where I've seen it. I dislike personally Scrum, which I already mentioned for the reasons that I mentioned. But Artur is much better with words than me, and that's what I wanted to say. Don't dismiss Agile just because someone will show you an application or management method which you will consider non-applicable in your world. The Agile is full of different methodologies, and most of them will not work. But the mindset, if you need, create your own methodology based on something that people found useful somewhere else, and it can also be agile. What I am trying to also maybe protect you from is finding someone who seems very opinionated, like myself, and having the one only always fitting silver bullet agile solution. Like, if you will do agile my way, it must work. They are most likely lying. This is what I want to protect you from.
They're deceiving themselves. But there's, for anyone who wants to find out more about agile in a very kind of structured yet agile way, I'm actually quite a big fan of the Agile Uprising.
What is that book?
It's a kind of a website, a podcast, a community. We'll link to it in the description to the episode. They have in their podcast a series, 12 Days of Agile, which actually goes in detail through the 12 principles. I think it's the 12. They actually have a Christmas tree, so it's kind of a parody of 12 Days of Christmas. but they go through all the principles, 12 principles of Agile in detail, so you'll be able to learn more about this. And in terms of finding people to do Agile for you, there's a great thought in one of their episodes about building an Agile organization, that you shouldn't really hire Agile experts, right?
I like it.
Because you've got Agile people in your organization already. You've got people who you show them the 12 principles. They say, yeah, that's how I want to operate. I want to do things with that mindset, but with the methodologies that we already have, with the goals we already have, with the culture we already have. You don't need to bring a revolution into your organization and say, today we've hired this kind of, as a consultant, I shouldn't be saying this, but we've hired this consulting company who's going to bring Agile to our organization and take us kicking and screaming into the Agile world.
I think you said once, don't get Agile, be Agile. Something in that this line. And I must say that like when I was building Agile for strategic analytics and insight for Sony Mobile, like we did it all in-house, and it was we reduced our costs by almost 60%. We increased by increasing efficiency, actually. The funny story, what we realized that saved us the most time, it's like when we started to ask people, okay, we want really to help you, but we want to understand what you really need. So if you order an analysis, there is a new field in an order form, which is titled reason. Why do you need it? What do you need it for? So we can really help you. It dropped the amount of incoming requests by 80%. People, when they spent a minute or two thinking why they need it, they realized we don't really. We always ordered it. We looked at this one chart and then we disregarded it. We don't need it for any decision that we are making. We don't need it for any report we're making. We were just always ordering it and these guys were delivering it. So why not? And adding a reason to an action or to the suddenly changes the perspective.
Yeah, and it links to the principle of maximizing the amount of work not done. It also links to a kind of methodology in Agile, which is the clean language, I believe it's called, where you're supposed to ask questions in a way that doesn't pollute the answer with your own preconceptions. And the kind of simplest way of doing is asking why. There was a great thinker. I don't remember who it was. The name escapes me, but he said something like, asking why is the best way to find kind of to proceed, and just be prepared for a barrage of whys. And always ask why, and it's a great way to actually come to the
root
bottom of the
things.
problem.
Absolutely. Just make sure that you don't do it my way and don't ask, why would you need this completely idiotic thing? That's a polluting question.
Yes, that's not clean language. That's not clean language on many levels.
On the dirty mouth of mine.
Yes, and coming to think of it, so Agile is kind of a mindset that you have to keep, and don't be diverted into these, as you said in the beginning, cults of people who say Agile is my way, and that's the only way. And find Agile-minded people within your organizations. We very often say, kind of in this podcast, that things need to come from the top. And in this case, I think we could almost come to the conclusion that it's not Agile implementation that needs to come to the top. It's the permission to be Agile that needs to come from the top. and then the methodology should almost emerge from
self-organizing teams.
Yes. But yes, that's in that sense, self-organization, i.e. finding the best way to do the things that are required. I agree with self-organization in that way, but it's a book comes to mind, Cryptonomicon by Neil Gaiman.
Amazing book, yes.
One of the characters, a Marine, basically kind of mused on the difference between the Japanese army and the American army during Second World War. And he kind of came to the conclusion that in Japanese army, the soldiers were required to do everything the way that the commander told them to, and they had. Whereas he himself, he was given an order to storm a bunker, and from then on he was a free agent. He could throw a grenade. He could shoot.
You don't need to go to the fiction to do that. I read a lot of analysis about the situation in Ukraine and the reason why Ukrainians are doing so well. They were trained by American army, and they operate as independent teams. They have very strong NCO, non-commissioned officers, surgeons and stuff. Like they have these teams which are presented with goals. Russian army is still this, what you described as Japanese army. They have generals who need to be on the front line and telling people what to do, exactly how to do. They have absolutely zero decision power in their organization, and how it goes for them, we can see right now. And
so kind of moving away from politics,
front lines.
So
no,
self-organization,
it's not
self-organization. Self-organization should be understood as the principle of allowing people to achieve goals within the boundaries that you set in such a way that best suits them, as long as they stick within the goals. My kind of mind again came to the story you said about the hinges in one of the previous episodes.
Yes.
That was not self-organization. That was going beyond
balkanization.
Well, no, I wouldn't say balkanization is an applicable word here. But
if every worker could do whatever they want without communicating
that would be
with
chaos.
others,
anarchy is the simple. But
stand corrected.
The funny paradox with self-organization is that you're making a team self-organize themselves. So you're building a self-organizing team. It's like you're organizing team into a self-organizing team. I had a very heated discussion yesterday.
It's about creating an environment where it's understood. Again, we talk a lot about when we organize processes. There are elements where you just need people to decide on and stick to it and understand why they are doing this. It's this communication again. We come back to this psychological safety coming from understanding the environment, what is expected, what are my remits. So I believe that if you want to have any sort of self-organizing team, you need to make sure that you communicate very well what is expected from them, and then.
I think the self-organizing team, for all the brilliance of Agile, I think self-organizing is the one term where they kind of a bit missed the mark, because to me, this kind of whole concept, the conclusions from self-organization, they really always boil down to be a good leader. Don't be a micromanager. Be a good leader. After all, you hired the people with specific skills because they know what they're talking about. Allow them to do their job. Don't try to do their job for them, right? And then you'll achieve better results.
I think it was Steve Jobs who said, you don't hire brilliant people to tell them what to do. You hire brilliant people to tell you what to do.
Yes, and it's absolutely it's as simple as that.
I would like to add one more thing. because we spoke about your beloved self-organizing teams. I just want a couple of seconds also to put a really strong emphasis on this constant pace. It's a constant pace means like constantly deliver something. Do not try to expect people who are doing unexpected things like data science research or whatever, that they will be following the strict schedule. The strict schedules is something which, in my experience, because I'm working a lot with unknowns, the strict schedule is something that kills the free spirit.
And strict schedule is not agile, right?
Oh, unless you have 2-week sprints. Did I say that aloud? Anyway, this is something that you need to decide: is it good for your organization? The agile, treat agile agilely. How would you say it? With agility,
in an agile way, right?
Yeah, treat agile in an agile way.
Yeah, it's a tool, and you shouldn't have one tool in your toolbox. That's one thing.
Absolutely.
Also, it's a mindset, and despite what some people say, it doesn't really need to be believed in to work. Mm-hmm. But you just have to approach it in a common sense way, not in a kind of militant evangelical way.
Absolutely.
And treat it as something that you can offer as a manager, as a founder, as a CEO. Offer it to your people as a way they can work in, and I'm sure there will be a lot of appreciation. And you don't need an agile expert because you already have them in your organization. There are already people working for you who would love to have that mindset and be allowed to work in that mindset. I think that's all we have time for today. So, as always, let's hope it was useful to someone. Thank you for listening. If you're interested in learning more about the latest Agile trends, check out Agile Uprising podcast and website, where you'll find a purpose-built network that focuses on the advancement of the Agile mindset and global professional networking between leading Agilists.
If you would like to learn more about psychological safety in teams, please check out the Collaboration Superpowers podcast with Lizette Sutherland, especially episode 308, where she talks to a psychological safety expert, Stephen Widner, about this very subject. As usual, all links to the references will be available in the notes to this episode.
Also, don't miss the next one, where we'll be discussing the boundaries of AI/ML applications with Dr. Sue Tripathi, Accenture's Managing Director, Global GTM Lead, Data AI/ML Analytics.
Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or visit bda.show to find out more about the future episodes and guests. You can also check out cognition.llc for more information on Cognition Shared Solutions, our services, and other events hosted by us.
For now, it's thank you from myself, Artur Guja, and my co-host, your friendly neighborhood data guy, Dr. Marian.
Thank you. Goodbye.